What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Merry Christmas to all of you. So today we're going to start off with Daxxramas. Castle level is 28, so we'll jump into it. As you guys have probably already noticed, content this week has been a little bit lighter, and it'll probably continue that way. I'll try to get out at least one video every other day, but other than that, you know, it's holidays, so expect the content to be a little bit lighter over the next couple of days. We're still planning on doing the giveaway on Friday though, so that'll be at least coming out on Friday at the very least. And I should be able to get a couple more videos. I have one more XCOM video coming out. It's already recorded, and I just have to upload it. And then we'll be doing this one obviously on Christmas. So we might have, you know, XCOM come out on Thursday, this one come out on Christmas, and then we can do the giveaway on Friday and maybe have, you know, another video, whether it's XCOM or Mighty Quest on Friday as well. Alright, so I think that these Stairmasters that were back here are pretty cool. It's a pretty good room for them as well. They're better against Knights, obviously, but they still work alright. They do some decent DPS. The Archer is okay, although I'm a little concerned that, you know, you're keeping your castle a little bit wide here, and I think that it needs to at least get into some chokes here and there, because these wide rooms are pretty easy to maneuver around for our attackers. This is a good time-wasting room. A pretty standard time-wasting group, to be honest. Let's see if maybe most of your castle goes towards that theme, or if you start to add in some more DPS mobs later on. Alright. Just a jelly wall here. Trying to figure out which way the castle goes. Looks like it goes up here. Alright. These can be somewhat decent, but I still think they're a little weak. I've tried using them, and I've actually had some trouble with them sometimes when when paired with a healer. Sometimes if you don't like one-shot crit them right away, the healer can keep them sustained, and they start to add up their damage a little bit here and there. They do reasonable amounts of damage, about 500 a hit, so it's not too bad. But they can still be one-shot by headshot if you get a crit and the person has enough DPS. Just barely. Obviously I'm a few levels over, so it's a little bit easier for me, but if someone has decent gear, they can just barely be able to kill them with one headshot. I think they have somewhere in the range of 4,000 life when they are fully upgraded at level 32, and I can do around 4,400 with a crit on a headshot, so... Alright, pretty standard Jimbo group. I think that's fine. Let's see what this pulls. A couple more chickens. Looks like a Dr. Skull pull if I had to guess. So I'm going to kill these guys back here a little bit farther. Those make such weird noises. Alright, let's see. Should be the next pull. Should be probably a Dr. Skull if I had to guess. Yeah, it's right here. So, good thing that I pulled those back. He's not going to have nearly as much to resurrect. Although still a little bit, because he raises 4 minions on his own, so I have to be a little bit careful. I'm probably going to have to potion here. And I like this group. It's definitely one that I use in my castle, and one that I'll continue to use as long as Dr. Skull's viable. Which I think he is. The skeletons, you can see, got a little bit of a damage buff. They do about 200 per hit, which is quite high. If you get caught in the middle of them, maybe you like vault in to try to take out the Dr. Skull, you get surrounded by them, they can add up their damage over time quite quickly, so it's a pretty good bit of damage for a free unit. Alright, Mega Muttons, I'm at level 26, I think they're fine. You're starting to get to that level where I think they start to become useless because they're able to be one-shot now, and bear traps shut them down so easily that I don't think it's really worth it to put them into your castle. Except for around level 26, because they still have decent DPS around then, and it's a little bit harder to one-shot them, because you know, I just have found that I haven't been able to one-shot them at level 26. But at level 24 I wasn't able to either. But at level 30 or 32, it seems like the level 30 variant, being 2 levels over it, makes it a lot easier to one-shot headshot them. Alright, so I've already talked a little bit about Pete Poundmore and how he's pretty good on charge now. He does quite good damage. If I got hit by this, it'd be around 1,000, so I like that. I used to not like Pete Poundmore on charge, but I've recently gained a little bit of respect for that specialization on him, because it was buffed around dealing damage rather than around its utility, so just kind of the way that it works now. Alright, Dr. Skull here again. The only problem with this one is that if I do kite back around this corner, you notice he won't do anything until he makes line of sight with the hero. So he can kind of walk straight to me, and then he summons his skeletons, and while he's summoning his skeletons, I can just headshot him and kill him that way. This might be another Dr. Skull pull if I had to guess, yeah. That's really the only reason to have a Explodifier way out in the middle like this, is to try to get those Resurrects. So that's pretty good. Alright. Another Mega Mutton. Again, you're at level 28, I believe I said, so you'll have to start kind of working away from Mega Muttons in the future, I think. Because you can see, I just one-shot headshot him, and bear traps and all of that. He gets shut down so easily. His fire damage isn't nearly as much as it used to be either. It has been buffed, I believe, but his charge still does good damage. If you land in the fire, maybe you have a chance to kill somebody, because his charge damage has been buffed so much, but that's really the only good thing about him, and I don't remember the last time I actually got hit by a Mega Mutton charge. You just throw down bear traps and you don't even have to worry about him anymore. He's just effectively completely shut down. I like battering rams much more than I like him now, because with battering rams, if you have them coming from different angles and stuff like that, it makes it a lot harder to actually bear trap all of the coming Mega Muttons, or not Mega Muttons, battering rams from different angles and stuff like that. You know, you only have 4 bear traps, and if you have 2 of them coming from one side or something like that, it's a lot easier to get charged and get hit by it. So I prefer those along with other things to make up space control. At least recently, I found that to be the case. So we will jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, for number 2 we have nstd. He's been around the Mighty Quest community for a very long time. I believe he took a break for a couple of months, and he recently came back and decided to make a castle again. Asked me to test it out, so I'm going to do that. Let's see what he's got in here. Alright, so we have some Mr. Boom Booms already that I've noticed. I do like the use of this room specifically for Mr. Boom Boom, because he starts throwing his bomblets out a little bit earlier. It seems like. I don't know where he went. Alright, there he is. You notice he threw him out from a pretty far amount of range, and that's because he made line of sight with the hero really early. But he's been nerfed a little bit, and he's not terribly hard to kill by himself. It's just dancing around this trap that's kind of annoying. You know, I have to be constantly going up and then coming back down when the trap's about to hit me. But it's not too bad. This looks like Dr. Skull pull to me, so I'm going to pull this back a little bit farther than normal. Alright, and yeah, there's the Dr. Skull. Just drop a volley on him and hopefully he'll die to a couple auto attacks. There we go. I think maybe a different room for the Dr. Skull pull would be like better for you, because it's pretty easy to escape the skeletons. If you get a tighter, choky area, it'll probably be easier for the attackers to take damage from the skeletons. Not that it's a bad pull or anything, though. Alright, let's see. It looks like he's on the punch combo ability. I think he still does more damage on the punch combo if he lands it rather than the charge. And I think if someone gets bear traps up, either way they're probably not going to take damage from either ability, so I think the 3-punch combo is definitely still a viable option. I do like Cyclops on charge. They can deal a lot of damage now, and I actually have to heal off of this. I do think that the teleport ability is now better. Teleport specialization on Stairmasters is now better than the Ominous Orb ability, simply because it's been nerfed. I might actually die here, yeah. I didn't go after the healer, which was a mistake. You notice I can't even DPS this Stairmaster down unless I have a headshot. So that's a pretty good pull. This effectively can do like 1,000 damage charge, and then 2 of these guys hitting you for 400 each. That's a pretty high damage pull, and it's got some tankiness to it as well. Ah, that was bad. I messed that up. The silence screwed me up there. Alright, I really need to start going after these supports. I don't know what I'm doing, but they're screwing me over. There we go. Yeah, so 750 on that charge. It's pretty high damage. Alright, Scorpio. See if I can dodge that. This is gonna hurt. I like how you kind of went for the Scorpio to be off screen and, you know, hit you as you're coming up through this way. I don't remember how my camera was rotated, but I could barely see the Scorpio with the way I was rotating. I did see him though, but still a good idea. I'll drop this volley, even though they'll teleport out of the volley more times than not. They still take about half hit points worth of damage, which is pretty good. But that's another reason to use the teleport ability. You don't get the Defendatrons or anything like that on them, because obviously they would teleport away from the leash range. But they also teleport out of volley, so it kind of works the same way that it's supposed to work in the first place. Like, the reason why you would use Defendatrons in the first place with Ominous Orb ones was to stop them from getting almost one-shot by volley. Same thing works with the teleportation Stairmasters, though. Alright. That silence made it so I couldn't jump across this, which is unfortunate, but I have to just wait a little bit longer. So yeah, Pete Poundmore, one of those units just gets really shut down by bear traps. He can do a ton of damage, but that's gonna hurt. Now, one thing I wish I could have shown it a little bit better is if you do get some range between you and the Stairmasters, they'll just try to walk through until they get to a certain point. Like, you notice how they won't teleport until they get close enough to you, and then they'll go and try to attack after their, or try to teleport after their attacks. They take damage, I think. But yeah, definitely a good castle so far. I've died once and I've used 3 potions, so most likely if I used my potions, I'd have none right now. If I used my potion instead of dying up there, where I ended up dead. I could have, you know, dodged a few more times, but it's still pretty good for sustained damage. And I keep getting hit by pretty much everything, which is not good. So yeah, you notice how they won't teleport until they start taking damage, which is pretty perfect against volley. I'm probably going to start using these as well in my castle. If I ever get time to actually rebuild it. Alright. Those actually really do 200 damage? Is that what I saw? Wow. That's actually so high. Huh. I wonder if it's because they turned into snowmen or if chickens will now do 200 damage a hit. So that's actually pretty high. I mean, they still die in one-shot volleys or one-shot of pretty much anything. So it doesn't make them really a viable option to use like as a strategy, like just chickens or anything, but it's still decently high damage. I wonder how much spiders do if they've been buffed enough to make it worth using spiders over chickens. They hit more often, but 250 damage is pretty high on a 1-point cost unit. I might have to start using those. Maybe Dr. Skull? No, Mr. Boom Boom. Probably a Doctor Skull on the secondary pull if I had to guess. This would be a good spot for it because you have these summon units that are all going to be dead, and then these chickens that were here as well. Alright. Alright, finally the boss room. Let's see what you got in here. Bad Dog, Captain Clubbage. Alright, I'm gonna lure the Bad Dog away if I can. Eventually Captain Clubbage will do an ability or something, I think. Maybe? He might have to take damage first. There we go. Now I can kill it. Hopefully that didn't enrage him. Alright. Your Captain Clubbage is only level 24, that's why it was so easy. He's definitely got a couple upgrades. Looks like something was still in your castle. Oh no, it's just this. Okay. Pretty good castle though. I died once, no potions left. Definitely good for sustained damage. We'll jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, lastly we have Orthank. Castle level is a 22.
School's in session.
Alright, so the Mega Mountain gets shut down by a little bit by bear traps, but then at the same time you have vamps that are kind of like a distraction, which might make them not throw down bear traps. It might make them throw down a volley instead, which I think works. But the way that I did it there would probably be the most efficient way to kill it, regardless of your level. Like, obviously it wouldn't be as easy for me to kill all of that. The Mega Mutton would have stayed alive through it, and then I would have had to headshot the Mega Mutton afterwards. But that's probably the most efficient way of killing it. I think the IMAX and Ominous Orb is fine, at least at your level. Once you got up to 28, I would say you should always use Stairmasters instead, because the little bit of health increase isn't really worth it for the point increase on the cost of an IMAX. Like, I don't think IMAXs are a good enough unit to use them in a lot of groups. I would say almost 2 is about the max, maybe 3 that I would use in my castle at your level. I would stick more to your your kind of trash mob, crowd control type stuff. The things that I was talking about, like a couple, like one Smelly Warrior, one Battering Ram, one Hunger Bot, and you know, insert another crowd control, maybe a Silencer or a Heal or something like that, and then put that all kind of spread out throughout a group and have traps pressuring the hero, where they can only fight in a small enclosed area or take extra trap damage. I think that's the easiest way to make sustained castles these days, at least until, you know, free creation mode comes out or something like that. Alright. Yeah, like this one isn't that bad. I would replace one of the Cyclopses with like Battering Ram or Smelly Archer. And then that would leave you with 2 points, which I don't know what I would put in. I don't know if you have access to the spiders yet. Maybe that would be okay. I don't know. Things like this I think is good though. Although I probably would replace the Silence Trap with something else that's a damage dealing trap. Just that has something that has pressure on the hero. Like I think this one I would replace with a rotating fire trap, because obviously the person can just walk around it. Alright. Pete Poundmore is always going to have a problem with bear traps. Unless they get changed. I don't think it's a bad unit, but definitely gets shut down by bear traps a little bit too much, I would say, for a 16-point unit cost. Alright, we have some Stairmasters here. These guys are okay. They've always had decent damage, even at these lower levels. You know, 100, it's not really a ton, but it's not terrible either. It'll add up over time. When you look at maybe 200 a tick on an IMAX, when you can afford 3 of them, it's just about the same amount of damage if they all hit. Maybe the IMAX has a little bit higher chance to hit with Ominous Orb, but that's about it. And I'm not sure if that's how much damage he does, but I think he's around 200, maybe like 150, 160. Alright, crabs, not much really to say about them. They're not really one of my favorite units. If I was making a slow, time-wasting castle, I would add in crabs, but other than that, I don't think they add much of a threat at all. You can usually just ignore them until the high-priority targets are dead. If anything, hit them once so they go in their shell, and then they move so slowly that it doesn't matter. I think you should remove most of your mines from this room. I think that's a pretty big thing that you should do. If you're going to be using archers in a boss room, you should always not have mines, because it just gives things... It gives the hero ways to just kind of dodge around these mines and make the archers come to him, instead of having, you know, the archers abuse their long range. Other than that, I mean, it's a pretty good castle. You didn't really use too many IMAXs. You know, you have a couple Pete Palmers, a couple Megamut and stuff like that. A lot of it gets shut down by bear traps. I would try throwing in a couple of the groups that I mentioned. You know, I think the core to the group would be like a Smelly Archer, because they've had their damage buffed substantially, but only one of them. Don't get carried away with Smelly Warriors, not Archers. If I said Smelly Archers, I didn't mean them. Smelly Warriors on the heavy-handed upgrade specialization. And then, you know, you can have a Cyclops if you wanted to, you could have a Hungerbot, you could have a Battering Ram, other little space control creatures, and then throwing in traps in between them. So the hero has to fight in between traps while he has a bunch of different types of crowd control coming at him. He has a Hungerbot chain coming this way, he has a Battering Ram charging him, he has a Smelly Warrior standing right next to him trying to do, like, you know, 700 damage or something. So he takes a lot more trap damage from that, and that will add up to the sustained damage of your castle. Have him start using potions a little bit more frequently. But with that, this is number 3, so we will end the video here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you enjoy what I do, you know, please subscribe, and I hope you all had a good Christmas. Yeah, thank you for watching.